Something happens between you and another person. Maybe they seem upset. Maybe there's tension in the room. Maybe nothing was even said at all. And before you can even process what just occurred, you feel guilty. Not because you did something, not because anyone said you did something, just because someone near you seemed unhappy. And somehow your brain decided that was your fault. You apologize. You over-explain. You go over everything in your head trying to figure out what you did wrong, even though you did nothing wrong. What you're experiencing has a name. Psychologists call it chronic guilt, or in its more extreme form, toxic guilt. And here is the most important thing to understand about it. It is not a moral response. It is not your conscience telling you that you did something wrong. It is a learned response, meaning at some point in your life, someone or something taught you that other people's emotions were your responsibility. Think about it. Were you the child who always tried to keep the peace? The one who could feel when a parent was stressed, even before they spoke, and immediately changed your behavior to try to fix it? The one who took on blame just to make the tension stop? If that sounds familiar, your nervous system learned something early. It learned that other people's emotions are dangerous, and your job is to fix them. Psychologists call this the fawn response. It is the fourth stress response, alongside fight, flight, and freeze. When you fawn, you appease, you shrink, you make yourself responsible for everyone else's comfort so that you can feel safe. And it becomes so automatic that by the time you're an adult, you don't even know you're doing it. You just feel guilty, all the time, for everything. Here is where it gets darker. For many people, this guilt was not something that appeared one day. It was installed. Maybe you grew up in a home where someone's mood was unpredictable, where love felt conditional, where keeping the peace meant keeping yourself quiet, where expressing your needs made things worse. So you learned, if I just take the blame, if I just apologize, if I just make myself smaller, things will be okay. That was not weakness. That was survival. But here is the cost. That survival strategy does not turn off when you grow up. Your nervous system kept the settings. So now, as an adult, when someone near you seems upset, your brain fires the same alarm it fired when you were a child. Danger. Fix it. Now. And because fixing it requires accepting blame, you feel guilty. Even when there is nothing to fix. Even when the other person is not even upset at you. Even when you are completely innocent. Psychologist Brené Brown calls this the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, I did something bad. Chronic guilt, the kind that has no cause, says, I am something bad. And that is a completely different thing. Over time, this pattern shapes who you become. You become the person who over-apologizes, the one who can't say no without a paragraph of explanation, the one who feels responsible for everyone's mood in a room, the one who cannot receive a compliment without deflecting it, the one who shrinks themselves in conversation so others feel bigger, the one who holds their breath and waits, always waits, for someone to confirm they are not bad. And you are tired, not just physically tired. Tired in the way that only happens when you have been managing other people's emotions for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to just exist without monitoring everyone around you. That exhaustion has a name too, compassion fatigue. And it is real, and it is heavy, and it is not your fault that you ended up here. So what do you do with all of this? First, you name it. Guilt without a cause is not guilt. It is a trauma response. And the most powerful thing you can do with a trauma response is recognize it for what it is. When you feel that wave of guilt land on you for no reason, say this to yourself. This is not information about what I did. This is information about what I learned to feel. Second, understand that other people's emotions are not your emergency. You can care about someone deeply and still not be responsible for regulating their feelings. This is one of the hardest things for chronic guilt sufferers to learn, because their whole nervous system was built around the belief that someone else's discomfort is their fault to fix. But it is not. Their emotions are information about their inner world, not a verdict on your character. Third, and this is the one that takes the longest, give yourself permission to exist without apologizing for it. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to be in a room and not scan every face for signs that someone is unhappy because of you. The guilt you feel is real, but it is old, and it belongs to a version of you who needed it to survive. You don't need it anymore. You have been carrying guilt that was never yours to carry. You have been apologizing for simply existing in spaces where someone else was having a hard time. And none of that was your fault. Understanding this does not fix it overnight. But naming it, really seeing it, is the first step toward putting it down. Now you know why you do that. If this hit different than you expected, subscribe. Every week we go deeper into the psychology behind the things you do without knowing why.